Good morning and welcome to Whenever You Are. I am Bandit Haze, and today I'm going to be talking about graphics versus gameplay. Now, I have actually talked about graphics versus gameplay before on the channel about a year ago actually, but this time round I have a guest with me who's going to give his inputs on the whole graphics versus gameplay thing. And let's be real, graphics versus gameplay is an ongoing thing, so who knows, and maybe I'll talk about it again a year from now, 6 months from now, next week, who knows, we'll see. But for now, let me introduce to all of y'all my main man, Raw. GamingForDays Raw. Not just gaming for minutes, not just gaming for hours, gaming for days. Not weeks, so that's maybe a bit too much. How you doing, Raw?
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Raw, coming at you raw. I hope your day is all well, and God bless you for stopping by. Bandit, thank you for having me here. And this topic, I think, is an important one because of the rise of this 4K gaming desire in the console fan base. You know, the PC guys, they've been gaming, or could at least have been gaming on the 4K gameplay since when? Like, when did 4K on the PC side, you being a PC Master Race member, when has that been a normal thing, or you know when?
Real quick, actually, just as you mentioned 4K, we actually are going to be talking about 4K sort of resolution versus frame rates, and including 4K on Raw's channel as well, so make sure you check the link for that video as well. But yeah, you know, 4K's been around a long time, of course. It's been around, I'll say a long time, it's been around a good few years at least at this point anyway, and maybe a bit more recently come to the console market, but yes, as you said, us PC Master Race, we've had 4K for ages. You console peasants just getting it. I'm just getting it now. But here's the thing. So when I talked about gameplay versus graphics about a year ago, my opinion of the time, as I remember, and I decided actually not to watch my video again because I thought, you know what, let me see if I could, one, remember what I said, and two, see if I have the same sort of opinions as to what I might have said back then. But I believe my opinion of the time was that both are as important as each other. You know, both gameplay and graphics are important. It's not a question of do you choose one or the other, but it's how do you balance the two in terms of what type of game it is, whether the game needs to have, say, high-end graphics, and if so, how does the gameplay suit that? You know, so it's not always a question of do you have great gameplay and screw the graphics, or do you have great graphics and screw the gameplay? It's trying to balance the two. I think that's the ideal situation for anything, of course, but right. I think the real question in terms of when you ask these gameplay versus graphics, what you're really asking is, if you had to choose, right, what would you rather have in terms of your gameplay? So when you play a game, what means the most to you in terms of your experience and enjoyment? And I think for most people, it's going to be down to the gameplay, because I think a lot of people would agree that you can have a game with terrible graphics, but if the gameplay doesn't hold up, it's nonsense. Just as you can have a game with the most amazing graphics, but if it can't control for anything, you know what I mean, then there's not much to it. But you know, you try to balance it out. But what was your view on that whole debate, being Mr. Raw?
Let me say this right quick, because me and you, we hardcore gamers, you know what I mean? We play our games, and we play different types of games. We're not on just one genre all day, every day. You know, we could jump from shooters to top-down RPGs to turn-based to adventure games and fighting games. You know what I mean? If you are a gamer who plays all different types of genre, I would say you're hardcore. My whole thing about the whole gameplay versus graphics thing, for hardcore gamers, it has to be, no exception, gameplay over graphics. Because my whole thing is, when you're playing a game, you're gonna be like, if it's good looking, oh man, this looks beautiful. But if the gameplay is sorry, you ain't gonna play it for too long. You're gonna fall asleep. For casuals though, I'll say this real quick, I think graphics is all about the graphics, right? I know people who just play one game only, and they look at another game and say, look at them graphics though. And I'm like, yeah, but I played the beta and it was sorry. I think, you know, from the casual standpoint, they just want something pretty to look at while they're playing it. Like Battlefield 1 and Battlefront, the Star Wars game that came out last year. At the end of the day, you know, it didn't have enough in it. It had pretty graphics, but the gameplay was not on point.
Okay, no, definitely. I remember playing the beta of that game where I was amazed by the graphics. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't get the game in the end, and then I just remember reading a lot about how a lot was left out of that particular title. So perhaps a good thing I didn't get it. Okay, so I think we're in agreement. We're both in agreement about the gameplay versus graphics in terms of if you had to choose between one or the other, what would you rather have? That being said, do you think there is a time, and not just necessarily for casual gamers, but do you think there is a time where it is actually more important to have better graphics than gameplay?
I think the only time when you should have better graphics with this new horizon or new, I guess, generation of VR. With this new horizon of VR, I think, look, frame rate is mandatory, but graphics is mandatory too, because putting that headset on and seeing blurriness, blurry textures and low res textures. And my whole thing is, if the pro can make the graphics look sharper, look cleaner, I think the whole overall experience of you being in VR would be more impressive, because, you know, VR promises you entering in the game, being in the game versus watching it on your TV. Because still, even in VR, frame rate is mandatory. If you got whacked up, messed up frame rate in VR, you're going to throw up everywhere. But here it is, David Cage's Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. Those games are emotion driven, right? And you don't need the best graphics, but if you're trying to sell real people, you connect with them better if they look real, you know? So having realistic graphics, it helps with the emotions they're trying to, you know, give to the player. Have you ever played Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain?
No, I did play Heavy Rain. I didn't play Beyond Two Souls, but I did play Heavy Rain back in the PS3 days, and quite liked it. You know, interesting game.
Let me ask you this. A game like No Man's Sky, Sean Murray, if you're listening to us, please tweet saying that y'all doing something. The game graphically doesn't look like a Killzone or Uncharted 4, but in the gameplay also, a lot of people gripe about the repetitiveness of the gameplay. If Sean Murray had to, you know, Sony said, here's $1 billion, okay, you know, put it towards something, graphics or gameplay. In No Man's Sky, for you, someone who have you played it first of all? Did you play it?
Oh, No Man's Sky? Nah, I'm not playing No Man's Sky. Probably not for a good long time, I don't think. But yeah, not played it.
Oh, all right, you're a perfect guy to ask this question then. If he had, you know, all this money to put towards one section of the game, graphics or gameplay, what would be more important? Because if No Man's Sky can look like Killzone or Uncharted 4, but it still plays the same way it does, versus if it could play like a game like Minecraft or like building bases and junk like that. I don't know, or even Call of Duty side quests where you run to buildings and take it over, whatever it is. But what would you rather? If because No Man's Sky is a perfect game to base this question on.
Okay, the thing is, I mean, No Man's Sky, from my understanding, is very much an exploration style game, and those types of games I don't usually get into all that much. They don't really appeal to me all too much. So yes, with that in mind, in the terms of the gameplay, I feel like there's not much you can do to make it interesting to me. I mean, not to say that I'm never ever going to play it. I mean, you always want to know what the hype is about when it comes to games like this. But in terms of, because it is an exploration style game, I'm not sure there's much you can do that I'm gonna feel like, oh wow, this makes it the best game ever, because it's not the type of games that I play anyway. So I think for that reason, I'd probably go with just having better graphics, because I'd rather, for me personally, since I don't feel like if they change anything about the gameplay, I'm going to notice the difference, because I don't play a lot of these games. So any sort of major improvements to that is going to be somewhat wasted on somebody like me, because I'm just not going to know that it's something, you know what I mean, amazing, because I'm not usually doing it. So I feel just because of that, I'd probably say, okay, just improve the graphics, you know, make it look better, and then, you know, we'll see. And then if the game, if I still feel the game sucks or whatever, then that is what it is. But at least it looks good.
No good, Brandon.
At least it looks good.
That's good, man.
I could pause it, you know, take a screenshot, and, you know, maybe print it out, put it on my wall, but it looks good. It looks good.
Oh no, man. Let me say this: if in No Man's Sky they put all their money and time, it looks how it looks today, but you were able to build houses, or you'll have maybe colonies walking around on the planets, and you can go into a Man, I don't know. This is a random one. Did you ever see Voltron on Netflix? Netflix has this original series called Voltron they put up.
No.
It's like, you know, the last Airbender and the Korra, the last Avatar guys.
Yeah.
Those people who animated that, also Boondock Season 3, those people who animated that did this show on Netflix called Voltron. Whoever's out there who's interested, check it out, Voltron on Netflix. What? We're getting sponsored by Netflix? This is brought to you by Netflix.
If Netflix are watching this, hit me up. We could. Listen. I would not mind getting free stuff from Netflix, or a free Netflix subscription. If you guys want to hook me up with that, it's so good.
If you can make your game funner, like in Voltron, they was going from sky to planet, visiting colonies and stuff like that. If you can make your game funner, I think like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare versus Titanfall 2, which I'll have on my channel a video of them two going against each other. But if you can make your game funner, more enjoyable to play, I don't mind if your graphics don't look like Killzone, Uncharted 4, or whatever. If you can make your game replayable, that's where it comes down to. In my opinion, it's got to be your game. Red Faction Guerrilla, my last thing. Red Faction Guerrilla, that story was sad. And the graphics was all right. But that gameplay, being able to blow up any building, put a hole in anything, that destructibility, I was done. That was one of my favorite games back on 360. But yeah, dog, that's what I want to say as a leaving mark. Gameplay over graphics all the way, baby.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this particular video. As I said before, we're going to be doing a resolution versus frame rate for Raw's channel, so there's a link in the description for that. Please check that out also. But if you like this video, give it a like and share it amongst your friends. If you did not like it, then give it a dislike and share it amongst your enemies. And yes, I just realized I screwed up my own ending. Whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, let me know what you think. I mean, do you prefer graphics? Do you prefer gameplay? Or do you feel like there needs to be a balance as well, like I was saying? Do you feel like there is always going to be one over the other? Let me know what you think to that. But until whenever, if ever, peace out.
Peace, y'all. We did it! Yay!